This is just a fun little project that you can do with your kids or your grandkids. You can just have leftover beads and put them together. Here's a wooden one. Make it into a little beaded doll or lucky charm person. Um, and whatever beads you got left behind, you can see you can use this is one of those all-seeing eye beads at the top. So it could be a key ring. It could be on a handbag. It could just be a fun little thing that you hang off a drawer. So I've got two beads. One's for the body, one's for the head. And then you need some little seed beads and bugle beads for the arms and the legs. And that's just dependent on how big you want to make it. Because the other two I'd made were quite big, I thought I'll make this one much smaller so you can see that it doesn't have to be huge. I'm going to use 0.8 20 gauge wire because there's some gilt or gold in the beads, so I'm going to use this gilt coloured. And I'm cutting a longer one for the legs and a slightly shorter one for the arms, but really, it really doesn't matter. You can make this exactly as you want it. So find the center of the length. I'm going to do the arms first. And holding the tips of your pliers, bring the wire around to create a tiny little circle at the center of the wire. Make that small, not too big, because the wire is going to slip through that later. And I'm just straightening out the wires on either side so that they firm up a bit. And then there's my central link. You're going to be doing that to both pieces. So you may as well repeat now and do the other one at this stage. So find the center with the tips of your round nose pliers and bring the wire across and around, creating a little tiny central circle, and then just straighten the wires out on each side. I'm just pulling and twisting to straighten and work harden the wires. So there's that little central circle. So once you've got those in place, then you can start threading with whatever chosen beads you've got. So let me start with the arms. So I'm going to put a few on because that's going to be the shoulder beads. You want it to come out and then bend down to create the arm. So I'm just looking at the width of my bead, and then after the width of my bead, I can then make a sort of bend, and then that will be the arm bit. So the top is the shoulder and now is the arm. And you can see the central circle stays on that plane, and then the wire for the arm comes down at a right angle. And now you just pick whatever chosen beads. I'm just randomly going to try this bugle bead there, just to bring out the little bit of gold. I mean, this is meant to be a decorative thing. So really, whatever goes. And don't forget, this is not realistic. So if you want very long arms and gangly movable arms, you can make that. You could put also a bigger bead where the bend for the elbow is going to be. I'm just finding beads that actually fit at the moment because I've chosen such small beads. So it's whether they actually go through the holes. So I'm just threading them on now, and then at the end I'm going to make a little spiral. So I'm just bringing the wire around itself. That's going to be the hand, and I'm just trying to get it so that it sits a little bit more central to the stem of the beads. So that's one side, and once you've done one side, that's great because you just repeat it for the other side. So again, 3 little seed beads up to the shoulder, bend, and then I repeat the same threading pattern that I've got on the other side. I've got to be honest, I normally do use larger beads. See, these bugles only just snugly fit onto this 0.8 wire. I mean, if you do have problems, and say you're doing it for semi-precious chips and you want to make the whole thing in semi-precious chips and they don't fit onto 0.8 of a millimeter wire, use 0.6 mil or use 0.4. You don't have to use the thick wires for the arms and the legs. it's better just to use the thick wires for the body bead. So, you know, there are no rules. I'm just showing you the sort of basic technique, and then you can run with it. So there we are. We've got the two hands at the ends, which are spirals, and we've got the shoulders and the arms. And then for the legs, it's very similar. You've got the central bead there, and then you're going to, obviously you don't want that to be too wide there. So just start threading your beads, and then you're going to bend, but this time you want the circular piece, you'll see, just to sit proud, because it's going to be linked onto the base of the body bead. So I'm just going to find beads that, no, that one is not going to fit on there. So I'll just have to go with my seed beads. I probably should have planned this a bit more for you so that I had sort of got the beads to fit and thread on easily, but unfortunately I've sort of just had a minute to make this, and I thought, oh, I'll do it now. But you'll get the gist of it. I know you will. So this is just threading. So you can get your kids to do this, your grandkids to do this. I mean, obviously it's fun to do yourself. So create a pattern, thread on as many beads that you like together, or go with the main body and head bead. And you'll do the same thing at the end. You could choose a large bead for the shoe if you wanted to, or you could make a larger spiral, or you could make a loop. As I say, anything goes. So I think I'm going to make the legs a little bit longer. I might regret this, but a little bit longer than the arms. Because you can, you've got to think, well, do you want to bend them, bend it so that then it shortens it, doesn't it, when you want to bend it at the knee or something like that. So now we go, that's the very end again. Keep all the beads on with a spiral, and then bend that spiral to a right angle, and that sort of holds everything in place like a sort of head pin. So I'm not going to make you watch me do the second one. Here it is. There's the second leg ready. So we're going to see one of the links is sitting one way, and the other link is sitting up proud. That's for the legs. So now we're going to thread the whole thing together. So there's the head bead, then on go the arm beads, then the body bead, and then you're going to make a link at the end of the wire. So just turn that to a right angle so that it's centered. So you've got the link centered on the stem, and just straighten the wire coming from there, and then bring it all down to that body bead, and you can then link and connect and secure that link so that it's all connected. Then cut it off the rest of the spool, and then you could make a wrapped link at the very top using your round nose pliers. So again, bend that little bit to a right angle to get it sitting central. Bring the wire completely around the pliers to make a big loop. Hold it there, and then take the very, very end, and with the tips of your chain nose pliers, wrap the rest of the wire just underneath the link that you're holding. If you've got too much wire, just cut off any excess, or you can just, I've just got enough, so I'm just squishing it and making sure there's no spiky ends protruding. And that really tightens up everything. I'm just going to hammer the very, very end of that link, which work hardens it, because if it's going to be hung off anything, it's nice and firm then, and it's been work hardened. And now you can see how you could bend the elbows, bring the hands together. You just need to spend a bit of time and manipulating it as you want it to be. And you've got a little dancing beaded doll bead that can do the Highland jig, or can sit down, and you can hang these off, you know, they're like little beaded charms, really. They're lucky charms. You can hang it off anything you want, but it's just a fun little thing, or to give to a kid, or to, you know, someone who's going through something, and you can say, this will bring you luck. So there he is, sitting on a rock. Well, there she is. And there's the wooden one. And just make your own versions, but just have fun making these. Thank you for watching.